Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and I'm just so honored to be talking with a dear old friend that we've known each other for many years, and as we were just talking offline, how lives are like a tapestry, and we come in and out of everyone's life. And recently, I published a book called Making It Home, and I just felt compelled to reach out to Georgina and share this information, and she's agreed to talk with me about it in the context of a course that I'm creating, which is like making it home in one's career, or finding power and purpose in one's career. And so, Georgina, I'm so honored to speak with you today. You're a well-known author, an award-winning author. You're in many ways what I aspire to be: an author and a speaker in the corporate world and in other areas. You've been a practicing hypnotist for how many years now?
22.
22 years. And I met you probably 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. The Ontario Hypnosis Center. I remember you launching that.
That's right.
And since then, you've written 2 books, I believe?
I've written many books, but 3 on the metaphysical.
Yeah.
Whole idea of metaphysical hypnosis and living our lives through spirit and very pragmatically, and other books for self-help. And I've got another one coming out in the fall, actually, about relationships.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to catching up. I've got a lot of reading to do this summer, and and you're on the top of my book list.
Okay.
So just again, for the benefit of our listeners, the book that I wrote, Making It Home, home is synonymous with heaven. And, if you look in Old English, there's a word for heaven and there's a word for hell. And hell, H-E-L, is to be cut off from. And Ralph Waldo Trine, one of my other, fond authors that I love reading his books, In Tune with the Infinite, he reasoned that you have, if you're cut off from something, there's a source, there's something you're cut off from. Therefore, heaven, which is the opposite of hell, you must be in harmony with that thing. So I took that a step further when I was researching the name for the book, and I also found that in Old English, the word Heffenreis literally meant the home of God. So the book is really Making It Home is about, arriving in a place of harmony with your mind, with your body, with your spirit, and bringing heaven on earth. And so that's kind of the underlying kind of theme. And this course is I'm going to ask you questions in regards to the 7 sort of pillars of home. But we're going to, and I'll introduce the question with just a concept from the book, but then open it up to you to just, enjoy how maybe you found this principle at work in people's lives, and in particular the working career.
Right.
Great. Well, thank you for that. So, let's also just introduce people to your career. If I could ask a question, in 60 seconds or so, can you give us a characterization of how your career, a thumbnail sketch of your career, and where it is now, and sort of how you arrived at this place?
Sure. I grew up in England, and in England, as you know, we believe very much in spirituality. We believe in ghosts and fairies, and that we are much more than we seem. I was a journalist in England, came to Canada, and was a journalist here, and then opened a PR company, which was purchased by a very large international PR company, where I became creative director and then managing director for 4 offices across the country. I got very tired of being one of the very few senior women worldwide in a company at that time. It was very difficult being a senior woman and being in Canada, because Canada was always considered the bottom. And certainly being a woman, I was the bottom. And I got just tired of it. And I looked around for something else to do, and took Gestalt therapy courses, Reiki, got my Reiki master, color therapy, and happened upon hypnosis, and really, really loved the fact that it allowed people to connect with their higher self, but also with the patterns in which we live. And it wasn't me doing it, it was me leading them so that they could do it. And within 2 months of taking that course, I'd opened up the Ontario Hypnosis Centre, which grew into Canada's largest school and clinic. And 5 years ago, I sold it because I wasn't feeling well, and then went back now, and I see clients now just 3 days a week, but I write a lot of books. I'm writing a lot and teaching at the University of Toronto. I'm teaching hypnosis. And what else am I doing? I'm teaching my own courses in past life regression and life between lives and spirit and entity release and NLP. I teach NLP as well, neuro-linguistic programming. My next book on relationships, called The Third Circle, is due out. It's being published in Britain, so it's going to be an international launch, and that's due out in November, in stores December, called The Third Circle. And I'm currently writing my second novel and getting started on my next self-help book, which is all about parts and using all the parts of you. But in the book Return Again, which was published 2 years ago in the States, there is a chapter called Heaven and Hell on Earth. And it starts off with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that says, "To different minds, the same world is a hell and a heaven." And then I just go on to talk about how we make our own heaven and we make our own hell on Earth and the interlife. And it's all about the power of perspective and how we can choose heaven or we can make our life hell. Yeah. And it is about choice. And in the book, by the way, there's a meditation script for self-recording that people can go on a spiritual journey should they so choose.
Wow, that's up my alley.
Was that 60 seconds or was it too long?
I don't know. I lost count. I think it was perfect. Well, I opened the book with the first chapter, anyway, talking about the 7 pillars, and they align to the 7 chakras. So I'm going to kind of talk about them in the order from the root chakra. And the name that I gave this pillar is unity. And through discussions and soul searching and meditation and a lot in my dreams, I was able to kind of come up with this material. But the idea behind unity is, we're not alone. And in fact, if you separate the words alone, it says, we're all one. We're all
right.
one. And you start thinking about that, and you start recognizing that. And then I'm listening to a fantastic audiobook right now about the creation of the company called Pixar, which is known for making these wonderful movies, and they were really at the cutting edge of technology and creativity. And they talk about unity, and they talk about trust, and how trust is such a foundation. You have to have a foundation of trust for all of the other things that you're going to do. In this case, very creative ventures such as making a movie. And so I talk about that in the book. I talk about how trust is such an important foundation, and then we draw out that unity energy, that security, that balance. We have a foundation from which we can then, become more self-determined in the things that we do, because we have, people have our backs. Maybe we have a mentor. Maybe we are a mentor. So that's kind of the spirit of that chapter in a nutshell. And now, thinking about your career and thinking about how you've cultivated unity in your work life. Maybe I know you're a mentor to many people. That would be one good example. Can you just talk about how you've experienced unity and how you think it's important for people to embrace that concept in their career?
Sure. I don't believe, because I believe we take ourselves everywhere we go, I don't think that we can separate out career from anything else, to be honest. And one of the things that I say to people is we go through life expecting people to take us the way we are. And yet how come we don't take people the way they are? We say that this person is such and such, or this person is very aggressive, or this person is you can't trust, or this person is loud, or this person is secretive, and we judge people all the time. And And yet when people say, yes, you were a little loud at the party, they say, well, that's who I am. I am who I am, people say. Well, fine, if you are who you are, well, then let them be who they are. and accept and allow. And it's not a question of allowing unkindness or allowing anything that it affects your life, because we all need boundaries. But what I am saying is, if we understand that we are all connected, and at heart we're all the same, it's just that some people use different parts of them at different times, then allow people to be who they are at that time, as long as it doesn't affect you. And if it does affect you, understand why it's affecting you. Maybe it's affecting you because you're the same. And when I work with my clients that way, they go, oh, never thought of it like that. I guess I should allow my mother to be who she is. Yeah, you should, because that's who she is. So don't try to change her. I mean, how about changing the way you receive her?
Wow, that word accept. There's so much power
accept
in that.
And allow. Accept and allow.
Yeah.
Really. So it really is about that.
Thank you. That's definitely some good information for listeners to chew on and to learn and to embrace. And we would be much better. I really take your point about that. It's hard to separate work from any other aspect of our life, because where we show up in one area of our life is how we show up in other areas of our life.
Totally, yeah.